Today our talk is on rethinking education, pedagogy for 21st century. This is Dr. Muhammad Aslam, and today we are going to discuss about pedagogy for 21st century, especially in the age of artificial intelligence. This is a presentation on shifting educational paradigms to meet the demands of rapidly changing world, focusing on dynamic teaching methodologies and learner empowerment. The evolving landscape of learning. The shift from rote memorization to skill acquisition is defining the new educational environment. Our pedagogy must adapt to prepare students for complexity and constant change. The first thing is digital transformation. Integration of technology is the mandatory, moving learning beyond physical walls and standard textbooks. Demand for 21st century skills. Focus shift to critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. Next is globalized context. Education must prepare students to be globally competent and culturally aware citizens. Student must have rich with all competencies, skills, and must have awareness about the culture of worldwide. Foundation of effective pedagogy. What science tells us. Modern pedagogy is grounded in cognitive science, emphasizing active constructions of knowledge over passive reception. First is active recall and spacing. Retrieval practice, quizzing, summarizing, spaced over time significantly enhance long-term memory retention. The second is metacognition, teaching students how to learn by encouraging self-reflection and monitoring their understanding. The next is social emotional learning. Learning is optimized when students feel safe and supported, fostering emotional regulation and collaboration skills. So it must be considered learning is not a spectator sport. Students do not learn much just by sitting in class and listening to teachers. Student-centered approaches empower learners. Moving away from traditional teacher-centered or led model, student-centered learning places the learner needs, interests, and voice at the core of educational experiences. So these are some student-centered approaches. One of them is inquiry-based learning. In inquiry-based learning, students pose questions, investigate ideas, and construct solutions, driving their own discovery process. The next is project-based learning. In project based learning, deep engagement through real world complex projects that require synthesis of knowledge across disciplines. And the further one is personalized pathways. In personalized pathways, tailoring curriculum and pace to individual readiness and learning styles supported by adaptive technology. So this one is like a individualized instructions according to the learner's needs, learner interest, learner style, learning capacity. Technology in classroom, tools for engagement and access. Technology is not just a tool, it's an environment that facilitates interactive, accessible, and differentiated instruction. The first one is adaptive learning software. Adaptive learning software provide immediate feedback and adjust the content difficulty based on student performance, ensuring mastery. The second one is virtual reality. Creative, immersive educational experiences allowing students to explore historical sites and complex scientific concepts firsthand. And the next is collaboration platform. The collaborative platform facilitate peer-to-peer learning and global teamwork, mirroring professional work and environment. Assessment for learning beyond grade. This is the very significant addition in 21st century pedagogy. Effective assessment should be continuous part of learning process, offering actionable feedback rather than just a final judgment. The first style or approach for assessment for learning is formative assessment. Ongoing check for understanding that inform and adjust teaching strategy in real time. And the second is authentic assessment using performance tasks, portfolios, and real world simulation to measure deep understanding and skill application. And the next one is peer and self assessment, developing students' metacognitive skill by teaching them to evaluate their own and other work against clear criteria. So it's also very significant to focusing on qualitative feedback over quantitative scores promotes a growth mindset and deepen student learning. The next is cultivating critical thinking and creativity is the main work of pedagogy during in this digital and AI era. In a world of abundant information, the ability to analyze, synthesize, and generate novel solution is paramount. For this purpose, these are some techniques and approaches which can cultivate, nurture, and enhance critical thinking and creativity among learners. The first is questioning assumptions, challenging established norms and identify underlying biases in source and arguments. And the next is solving complex problems, applying analytical frameworks to navigate ill-defined, multifaceted issues. The next is generating novel ideas, encouraging divergent thinking, and fostering an environment where failures is seen as a generative step. And the next is evaluating evidence, determining the credibility and relevancy of information to make informed and sound decisions. Next is the role of educator as a facilitator, mentor, or innovator. In this modern age, the modern educator shift from being the primary source of information to guide who curates experiences and coaches learners. As an innovator, the educator continuously experimenting with new pedagogical models and integrating emerging technologies. And as a mentor, the modern educator will always focus on providing personalized guidance, social, emotional support, and cultivating student agency. And as a facilitator, he will designing rich, always focus on designing rich learning experiences and managing collaborative student driven activities. Addressing the next is addressing challenges, equity, inclusion, and well being. These are the very considerable challenges which need to address. True pedagogical excellence requires addressing systematic barriers and prioritizing the holistic development of every individual student. Equity and inclusion. Culturally responsive teaching that validate and incorporate diverse student background. Universal design for learning. Ensure all learners have equal access to content and expression. And further, bridging the digital divide by providing access to device and high speed internet for all students. And the next, a second aspect is student and teacher well being, integrating mindfulness and stress reduction techniques into the curriculum, prioritizing professional development that focus on teachers' self-care and workload management. And the last is creating a school culture where psychological safety and mental health are openly supported. Future proofing education, key takeaways and next steps. The first is shift focus on skill, more curriculum designed toward developing competencies over more content coverage. And the second is use assessment to guide, implement continuous feedback rich assessment practice that drive learning forward. And the last is empower educator, invest in ongoing professional learning for teacher to master new technology and pedagogical model. So the future of education depend on courageous adoption of student centered pedagogy, ensuring that every learner is equipped to thrive in the complex challenges of tomorrow. So, this is some things about the rethinking education and pedagogy for 21st century. Thank you very much for your time and attention.